So the question that myself and Ushin get asked all the time, both by qualified operators and people who don't have as much experience with drones, is exactly where you can't fly your unmanned aircraft. So this video is going to be a bit of an explainer and try and debunk some of the mystery around where you can and can't fly. The first thing that it's really important to mention is that in Ireland there's no distinction between commercial and uncommercial or non-commercial operations. The Irish Aviation Authority have decided that when you put a drone into the sky, it's about risk. So, people saying that, oh, well, I'm flying my drone non-commercially, so the rules don't apply to me, and that's not the case. And in fact, the rules are the same for absolutely everybody. Some of the questions that arise, my drone is less than a kilo, or it's more than 4 kilos, or I'm flying out in the countryside. These are the questions that continuously come up. So again, this is what we're going to address. The first thing that it's important to mention is the statutory instrument, which is the law that was brought in 2015, and that's Statutory Instrument 563 of 2015. From Statutory Instrument SI 563 of 2015, there were 4 aeronautical notices produced. Aeronautical Notice U01, 02, 03 and 04, and they stem down from the Statutory Instrument. Now the Statutory Instrument gives the general guidance on how far you can fly, how high you can fly, and how close you can come to people. The 4 aeronautical notices are then broken up. So Aeronautical Notice U01 tells us that we have to register our drone, okay, if it's more than 1 kilogram. If it's less than 1 kilogram, then there's no requirement. So toys or anything up to 1 kilo. And when this was written, most commercial drones were in fact above 1 kilo, and now we have the introduction of drones like the Mavic. So this rule may be revisited by the Irish Aviation Authority. To register your drone, go to the Irish Aviation Authority website. It costs €5, and this isn't a way of tracking your drone or your activity. This is just so that they have a register of how many drones exist in Ireland and are registered in Ireland. Aeronautical Notice U02 then tells you how to go about getting an exemption from the rules in the statutory instrument. The mechanism to do that is to come and do a training course with a company like Flyrite, and we provide the safety training so you can apply then for an exemption to go outside of the rules that are there for absolutely everybody. Aeronautical Notice U03 focuses in on MACI sites, which is the Model Aeronautics Council of Ireland. Now these guys have been flying model aircraft for a long time, and they have massive experience in this area, and they understand the risks. So they've been offered an exemption from the statutory instrument, provided that they're flying on their registered sites, and these guys also carry insurance. So it's a very specific case and not designed for flying your drones in public. Aeronautical Notice U04 then, probably one of the more important aeronautical notices for us, because it tells us where we can and can't fly in terms of controlled airspace and gives us some guidance there. So quite an important document. So again, the phraseology, Statutory Instrument 563 of 2015, feeding down into the 4 aeronautical notices, and Aeronautical Notice U04 giving us guidance on how big the no-fly zones are around airports, and then also outside of the no-fly zones in the controlled airspace gives us some guidance on how high we can fly. Specifically, each of the big airports, so Dublin, Cork, Shannon, Sligo, Donegal and Waterford, have no-fly zones directly around the airports. And if you go to www.flyrite.com/airspace, we've created an interactive map to make this really simple for you. So it looks like a Google Maps map. You go in and it has the different airspaces, you click on them, and it tells you what the requirements are in those airspaces. The asset that the Irish Aviation Authority have developed has something similar, but ours is much more straightforward, so we welcome you to use that resource. So what does the statutory instrument say then? Well, the first and most important thing is the altitude, because commercial aviation comes all the way down to 500 feet. And then our drone airspace comes up to 400 feet. So that's 400 feet is the max that we can fly, which equates to 120 meters. Now that's above the drone's position. So if we come off a mountain, we have to fly down and contour the mountain if we're up at our max altitude of 400 feet. And that's for the reason that if it is a commercial aircraft, that it will do the same, that it will climb, come over the mountain, and then we must descend off the mountain if we're coming down. Okay, so 400 feet above the drone's location is as high as we can fly. That's in uncontrolled airspace, and we'll speak a little bit more about that in a moment. The second thing then is how far can we fly, and well, that distance is 300 meters from the pilot's position. So 300 meters radius is as far as we can fly from our position. The next question is if we have a person or a vehicle or a vessel or a structure, how far do we have to be away from that, okay? And the distance is a distance of 30 meters. Now this question comes up quite a lot. Well, if I fly, 100 meters over somebody, well then I'm more than 30 meters away. And that's not the case, because it's 30 meters vertically, okay? So there's like a 30 meter cylindrical cone around people and vessels and vehicles and structures, and we have to keep that 30 meter distance at all times, okay? The only exception to that is if the person gives us their permission or they're acting under our control. So, for example, if you're shooting a wedding and you get permission off the bride and groom and the guests to come within 30 meters, well then legally you can do so. You still have to make sure, of course, that you do it safely. So a recommendation will be to fly downwind so that if you have any failures, that the drone is going to be blown away from any people that might be there. If that group or if we increase the number from one person to a group of 12 or more people, so like at a concert for example, then the distance increases from 30 meters all the way up to 120 meters. Okay, so 120 meters. So if you see videos being taken and people are flying over crowds or close to big crowds of people, again, that is illegal unless those people have given permission for the drone operator to fly. The only exception to all of that, of course, is that drones less than 1 kilo, they're not bound by the statutory instrument at all. And people would say, well, I have a DJI Mavic, so then I can do whatever I want. The other parts that are tagged on to that exemption is that the drone has to be less than 1 kilogram and it has to stay below 50 feet or 15 meters. Okay, and it also has to be flown in a safe manner. So now we have to use our judgment to say what's safe, make sure that we fly safely, which we should be doing all the time, of course. We've got to stay low, so 50 feet and 15 meters. And that leads on to another point which we've already spoken about briefly, and if you want to check out the different airspaces, www.flyright.com/airspace is the best resource for that. But if we are in controlled airspace, so take for example Dublin controlled airspace stretches all the way from Dublin Airport down as far as Bray. If we're in that airspace and we're outside the no-fly zone of 4 kilometers, again you'd find that information in the Aeronautical Notice U04, then the limit that we can fly is up to 50 feet. Okay, so if you live in the greater Dublin area down as far as Bray, and you're flying a drone, you have to stay below 50 feet. Either A, because your drone is less than 1 kilo and you're operating under that exemption, or B, you're operating under the exemption provided by Aeronautical Notice U04. Again, without permission, you can't go above 50 feet. To go above 50 feet, it makes sense that you'd have to get some training so that you figure out how you can do that safely, and that's the training that we provide. So you can come and do that training, get yourself tested and become a licensed pilot and fly under a specific operating permission. Some of the other questions that we get quite a lot: can you fly at night time? Absolutely yes, you can. Under the single European rules of the air, VFR flight is allowed at night time, so yes, we can fly our drones at night time. Do you have to operate as a pair? No, if you can operate on your own safely, well then that's fine. But remember, just because it's legal doesn't mean it's safe, and just because it's safe doesn't mean it's legal. We have to try and achieve both, okay? We want to fly safely, and we also want to fly within the law. I'd also like to point out that Ireland has also always been ahead of itself in terms of aviation, and we have an incredible reputation internationally. Myself and Usheen, we go and we present in San Francisco every year, and every time we go, the reports that we get back are that Irish pilots are extremely professional, and Ireland is a very exciting place when it comes to unmanned aviation as well as manned aviation. So we, as the fundamental operators and pilots in the Irish aviation and unmanned aviation community, we have to really push ourselves to maintain and keep that high standard and high quality of practice. Make sure to like our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you have any specific videos that you'd like to see, just let us know, send us a PM, and we'll produce that video for you in the coming weeks. Thanks guys, and we'll see you again soon.